This is CBC Here and Now.
It's a mix of pride and being supportive, but also just terrified.
The 3 Newfoundlanders detained on the Freedom Flotilla to Gaza are coming home. I'm Julia Israel, and I'll have that story coming up.
I thought it was a critical time for both our district specifically and the province.
Hearing concerns about crime, hearing concerns about just quality of life.
Drugs and the crime that we're dealing with on a daily basis in our communities. All of those things are still here.
CBC's Reagan Burden will give us a rundown of the candidates in the Lake Melville district. Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Jessica Singer filling in for Carolyn Stokes. We have a slightly shorter 30-minute show for you tonight, followed by Land and Sea. Our top story tonight, an update on the 3 Newfoundlanders who were detained by Israeli officials after joining a flotilla heading to Gaza. Here Now's Julia Israel brings us the latest on their journey.
They're coming home. The 3 Newfoundlanders who sailed aboard a Freedom Flotilla to Gaza were detained by Israeli troops in international waters last week. Now, after a few tense days, their release was announced over the weekend, and now Nikita Stapleton, Devaney Ellis, and Sadie Mees are expected to arrive back home in St. John's Tuesday afternoon.
It's a mix of pride and being supportive, but also just terrified. I knew interception was a big possibility. I didn't realize how it would level me. And so I hope that I get to have the emotional high on the other side.
Kira Mees is Sadie's mother. Kira's just traveled from her home hours outside of Toronto to meet her daughter at the St. John's International Airport tomorrow, waiting in anticipation.
My husband and I were welcomed at the airport, and we expect that we'll be meeting a lot of people. It's been wonderful, and I really do thank everyone because it's been comforting to see the support. It really, really has.
Sadie Mees left to join the Conscience Flotilla on September 7th, and developments had continued to unfold while out at sea. A ceasefire agreement on October 10th has seen to the release of hundreds of detained Palestinians and the remaining 20 Israeli hostages.
Who knows what the next thing will be? Help my heart. But I know that she's determined, and I know that she's resilient, and I know that this work is so important to her. And so I'll continue to support her and the efforts, because you can't turn a blind eye. Once you know what's going on, you can't ignore it. And it's hard to see good news, I think, for me at the moment. It's just such a horrific situation, and that the real thing that we have to focus on is that people in Gaza still aren't safe, and the fact that basic human necessities have been systematically denied them is really what we have to keep focused on. And I know that that's what kept Sadie and Dev and Nikita's passion going, and so I've really taken solace in that too.
Prime Minister Mark Carney, UK Prime Minister Starmer, and US President Donald Trump are among some of the world leaders in Egypt today to attend a signing of a Middle East peace plan. That's while some preparations are underway at the Gaza border to ramp up aid entering the territory. I'm Julia Israel with CBC News, St. John's.
After tomorrow's election, for the first time in 10 years, Perry Trimper will no longer be the MHA for Lake Melville. Instead, the district will be represented by someone new in the House of Assembly. CBC's Reagan Burden breaks down how the new candidates are making their case.
3 candidates are vying for the Lake Melville seat in the House of Assembly. Sean McLean is running for the Liberals, Jamie Ruby for the NDP, and Keith Russell is the PC candidate. They all say housing, crime, and safety are top of mind. Keith Russell previously served as a PC MHA from 2011 to 2015 under Kathy Dunderdale. He championed the Muskrat Falls project and says while the project had some benefits, there were lingering problems the area is still dealing with.
The drugs and the crime that we're dealing with on a daily basis in our communities. All of those things are still here. And we didn't see anything long lasting. All we saw was a whole bunch, the rent went up, the price of housing went up.
And in the years since he's been in government, Russell says crime has spiked.
What we need that detox.
A proposed treatment center aims to tackle the addiction issues in Lake Melville, but Russell has concerns about that approach.
We don't need to, this harm reduction thing, we really need to take another look at what we're doing. The dispensing of crack pipes and needles and all this stuff, and a place for people to exist like that is not something we need to be pushing for.
Russell says harm reduction has a role to play, but he doesn't believe it's the only solution.
All I meant to say was that simply when you have these environments like the Labrador and like Airport Heights, where you've got people together, where they're giving out the pipes and they're giving out the needles and all that, these places aren't working. Liberal
candidate Sean McLean is running for the first time.
I thought it was a critical time for both our district specifically and the province, and I felt like I had a lot to offer.
McLean has worked with many organizations in the area, including the Women's Shelter Libra House and Melville Native Housing Association. He says more investment in housing will help prevent people from falling through the cracks. And at the doors, he's hearing people need support.
And we do need to take care of people. We need to take care of the people in our community that are most vulnerable. We can't criminalize poverty or addiction. We've got to provide solutions to take care of the people in our community. So that could be by way of building a shelter, and then the other response is in our healthcare system. And then obviously there's a response that happens in the justice system for the actual criminal behavior that's happening. Can't be excused, but what it boils down to and what I'm hearing at the doors is that we need to take care of each other, and that's what I'm hoping shines through in all of it.
Jamie Ruby, the NDP candidate, doesn't live in Lake Melville, but he says the NDP has volunteers on the ground and he's been hearing about the issues in the area.
I'm hearing concerns about crime. I'm hearing concerns about just like quality of life, for lack of a better word, and just the life that people should be able to experience.
Ruby says the NDP would hire more healthcare workers and build more affordable housing to address the root causes of crime. Of the three candidates, Keith Russell is the only one with experience in the House of Assembly. But it wasn't all positive. Back in 2012, Russell got in hot water for some comments he made about protesters at Muskrat Falls.
I don't buy into the mumbo jumbo about the trail leading to the Muskrat Falls site as being sacred ground, and you can romanticize and sensationalize that particular piece of land all you want, but it is a resource.
I mean, I'm certainly not saying that there's an excuse for saying what I did with mumbo jumbo, but I was referencing a trail that didn't exist because there was no highway at the time. So that one got taken out of context. The leadership at the time wouldn't allow me to go back to the media and actually provide that context and let people know what I meant.
On Tuesday, McLean, Russell, or Ruby will be elected the next MHA of Lake Melville. The polls will be open from 7:30 to 7:30 local time. Reagan Burden, CBC News, Happy Valley Goose Bay.
This is the final day on the campaign trail for the three party leaders. Here and Now's Henrika Wilhelm has this recap of how the last 4 weeks have played out.
It was a busy 4 weeks for all three party leaders as they traveled the province. They focused on different areas and different topics. The Liberals, with leader John Hogan, started off by visiting Labrador to talk about the key issue of their campaign, the Churchill Falls MOU.
We will be forming a committee called the Churchill Falls Transformation Readiness Committee, so there will be a strategy going forward, really before shovels are in the ground on any future mega projects in this area.
They spent some time across the island, but also regularly returned to the metro region. For the PCs, the campaign trail started in St. John's, but then mostly focused on rural areas, where Tony Wakeham emphasized the three main pillars of his campaign: healthcare, lower taxes, and public safety.
We will listen to the police and hire the 25 new RCMP officers to protect families and businesses across Newfoundland and Labrador.
And they received some big support from a key industry when Trades NL announced its endorsement. For the NDP, the campaign was entirely anchored in St. John's, except for a 2-day visit to Labrador West. For party leader Jim Dinn, much of the campaign focus was on housing and the cost of living.
We've got to find a way to support people who want to start families here, who are going to want to settle down, grow, start a business, work, pay taxes, and support our society here.
The party was the first of the three to have its fully costed platform released almost 2 weeks ahead of Liberals and PCs. And while the NDP chose not to make any public appearances Monday, the PCs spent time in Channel Port aux Basques.
I'm sending a message to all rural Newfoundland and Labrador that we're going to stand up for rural Newfoundland and Labrador. We're not going to allow rural Newfoundland and Labrador to be torn down piece by piece. We're here to say we're standing up for rural Newfoundland and Labrador.
Meanwhile, the Liberals wrapped up their campaign in the metro area.
Since day one, we've focused on all 40 districts, and we'll continue to focus on all 40 districts right until polls close tomorrow night. I want to thank all Newfoundlanders and Labradorians for having chats with us over the last 4 weeks.
On Tuesday night, all three parties will find out who was most successful in making their pitch as voters head to the polls to elect the next provincial government. Henrike Wilhelm, CBC News, St. John's.
Staying with the PCs now, as we just saw there, Tony Wakeham spent the final weekend of the campaign trail on the Northern Peninsula, trying to sway voters in a district held by Liberal incumbent Krista Lynn Howell. While on a campaign stop in Port aux Choix, Wakeham doubled down on his party's commitment to the province's fishery.
And I have always said, if you want to talk about science, some of the best scientists we have are in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, and they're out on the water every single day, catching the fish, catching the quotas, catching the crab. Those are the people that we ought to have more of a voice in exactly what's happening in our fishery, and I couldn't agree with you more.
Yep.
We have to stop it. We have to have that.
Yes, sir. We have the knowledge.
That's right.
We know what's happening, but they won't listen to us.
Nope.
Like, we're on the sidelines, that this is what you got, this is what you get.
We believe in the fishery of Newfoundland and Labrador. We've always believed that. We've stood up with our harvesters. We've stood up for our plant workers. We've stand with the people of Newfoundland and Labrador who are involved in the fishing industry because we know how valuable it is to the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. We will continue to do that, and we will continue to lobby and ask and demand that the people of Newfoundland and Labrador and the people who risk their lives on the water every day have a greater say when decisions are being made about quotas of boat size and gear.
This province has the oldest and most rapidly aging population in the country, and that means seniors are making up a larger and larger chunk of the vote. CBC's Julia Israel went to a town hall this weekend and asked voters what's on their mind heading into Election Day.
In the Waterford Valley district of St. John's, voters attend a town hall. This one organized by the NL Seniors and Pensioners Coalition and attended by candidates Nicole Boland of the NDP, Liberal Jamie Korab, and PC David Tomley. The focus was on quality of life for seniors, a major focus on all three party platforms.
I think they've been the key issues that seem to be prevalent during the election campaign. I think that the responses that have been given by the parties are ambitious, and I would hope that whoever gets elected and forms the government is able to deliver on some of their promises while not leaving seniors and older persons behind in that trip.
On the docket, several concerns for seniors: cost of living and financial security, health care, including aging in place and long-term care homes, and public safety, including fraud, scams, and other acts of violence, often targeting seniors. After the main question period, attendees had the floor.
I would like to know if anybody has thought about making nurse practitioners part and parcel of family practices and paying them on a scale that actually compensates them for their scope of practice. I would like to know if the people here, right now at this level, would do anything to improve the future for us and for my mother in long-term care.
So what actions will your party take to assist these family members who carry the burden of cost and also experience burnout with taking care of older family members in their home?
The province is just one day away from electing a new provincial government. Julia Israel, CBC News, St. John's.
And now to a historic day at King George V Soccer Field in St. John's, where the National Amateur Soccer Championships wrapped up, with both the men's and women's Holy Cross teams from St. John's making it to the championship finals.
That's it. That's it. Holy Cross. The game is over. Holy Cross women, St. John's, Newfoundland, Labrador, they are your new Jubilee national champions. Third time in 4 years. Right away, here it is, smash it, it's in, they win! Holy Cross win, men! First time since 1988, Holy Cross have won the National Men's Championship.
First, the women won gold, beating a team from Quebec 2-1, and later in the afternoon, the men defeated the defending champions from Ontario on penalty kicks. Congratulations. Now it is an absolutely gorgeous sunny day today here in St. John's. Please tell us that continues.
Well, at least for the next 24 hours, but things are going to change as we head into the long range. Unfortunately, looking like RDF is going to make a return. We do have some nice weather though to continue. Like I said, at least for the next 24 hours. We've got a beautiful day out there today. 16 degrees, hot spot in Badger this afternoon. Mariestown 13, St. John's reaching 11 degrees, even up across Labrador, anywhere from 13 to 16 degrees. So Mary's Harbor tied there for the hot spot across the province. Like I said, one more day of seeing this. This is a very different story from what we were seeing yesterday. In fact, anywhere from 2 to as much as 6 or even 7 degrees warmer. And we are on a little bit of a roller coaster for some cases. And then once we go down, we're going to stay there for a little while as well. So what we've got going on right now, weather-wise, we're sitting under a nice big high pressure that's keeping the skies clear for the moment. We've got an area of low pressure on either side of us. That one offshore right now is actually going to be what causes the RDF over at least the rest of the week, because that is going to edge its way closer. But right now we're in what's called an omega block, and that's because it makes the Greek letter omega, where this ridge of high pressure is essentially stationary and will eventually move out and sink a little bit further south as we head through the day tomorrow. But for the time being, tonight, that ridge of high pressure going to very much in place, and that is going to keep us under clear skies through the overnight tonight for most of us. Just some varying levels of cloud cover, but the temperatures are going to drop down to somewhere between 3 and 7 degrees for most of the province, except for Lab City, where you'll have around -2 overnight tonight, and then into tomorrow, again, a fairly lovely day. We will see lots of sunshine for election day, so the weather really not playing any role in that. But like I said, that area of low pressure offshore, that is going to inch closer. And that's going to bring some cloud cover as we head through the afternoon likely, but really more so through the overnight. We'll start to see some RDF with that as well. And then cloud cover across Labrador through the evening, and then eventually most of us will see those on the increase. Temperature-wise tomorrow, most of us sitting in the teens with the exception of along the northeast coast, 8 to 11 northerly winds sticking around as well, around 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. Up across Labrador, your temperature is well above where you should be sitting this time of year, anywhere from 10 to 15 as your daytime highs. With those winds out of the southwest, somewhere between 20 to 30 kilometers per hour. Now, as we look ahead into Wednesday, this is when everything will change. Most of us will be in cloud cover along with the potential for some drizzle and fog through the day. Most of parts of the west may even see flurries. Lab West may even see flurries in the mix there. But as you can see, a drop in temperatures. 9 to 12 degrees for most areas, with the exception of Lab City, where you'll sit around the 4 degree mark. Now, by Thursday, this is when we'll get more into the rain and drizzle and fog periods story through most of the afternoon across the island, and again temperatures on the cool side only topping out somewhere between 6 to 10 degrees. A little cooler though for those of you along the south coast, and that's because you're away from that onshore flow. So between 12 to 13 degrees will be your daytime high. Now the long range forecast. Temperatures are going to stay somewhere between 9 to 11 degrees. RDF really the story right through Saturday. Really not seeing a whole lot of movement in the overnight temperatures either. Same thing for central and western Newfoundland, where you see your temperature somewhere between 8 to 10 degrees. RDF for you, but again, more rain in the forecast Thursday, Friday. It's looking like for now. You'll see that a little later. on Thursday for Western Newfoundland. And then for Labrador, overall your temperatures are actually going to stay a little bit above where you should be this time of year, between 8 to 10 degrees, overnight lows 5 to 7. For more in the way of flurry activity, though, for those of you in Western Labrador. By the time we get to Friday, Saturday, showers will be in the mix there as well. Our weather photo of the day taken in Port Rexton. A beautiful shot of the full moon rising there. Stephen shared that with me. And if you have any weather photos that you'd like to share with us, we love seeing them. Any great shots of the full moon as well. You can send them to my Facebook page or email them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
So here's what we've gathered from talking to local residents.
I spoke with a renter who's facing eviction this fall.
It is not for the weak of stomachs.
What does it mean for you to be able to give that advice and to know that you've helped? Don't look down.
If this is something that you didn't know about, let me tell you.
Heather Gillis, CBC News, Happy Valley Goose Bay.
St. John's.
Corner Brook.
Chaji, Inuk First Nation.
Grand Falls, Windsor.
New West Valley, Newfoundland and Labrador.
Welcome back. With people across the province continuing to feel the squeeze of the high cost of living, that means food bank usage also remains high. CBC's Alex Kennedy stopped by the Corner Brook Food Bank to talk about that need.
Last year, our highest services were up somewhere around 191 individuals. And now we're somewhere around 161. So we have seen a drop, and we believe that indicates responsible use of food bank, that when people are feeling stressed and don't have what they need, they're coming to make a request. And when they're doing okay, they decide responsibly to say, no, I don't need this time, so I won't be requesting.
One of the things that you told me yesterday when we were talking was you've seen an uptick in the number of children. Can you tell me about that?
Well, we have always seen somewhere near 33% of the individuals we're serving are children, and that's been consistent through the decades. Food Banks Canada reports that all the efforts that happen to change child hunger seem to be a bit resistant. So we do echo that. Well, sometimes we drop down to about 28% of the individuals, but our most current numbers show a 33%, 1 in 3 individuals.
We're headed into the provincial election. What are people telling you about food costs and the challenges they're facing, Damien?
I think the story is consistent. I don't believe that there's any special thing that I've heard to be able to respond to in that. But certainly we do see increased food costs. We see home and housing costs that, are unbearable for some. And then, of course, the heating issues. So these are always the basic core issues that people, have difficulty, maintaining in tough times. And so they would be voiced as well, during our services.
And that brings us to the end of tonight's show. Please stay tuned for a special encore presentation of Land and Sea. Thanks so much for spending part of your evening with us, and good night.